includes
Nesse vídeo, você vai aprender.
Hello friend, welcome back. In this video, I will start a new session. It's about that learn Node.js from scratch. So first of all, what is Node.js? Node.js or Node is an open source and cross-platform runtime environment for executing JavaScript code outside of a browser. Quite often, we use Node to build backend services, also called APIs or application programming interface. These are the services that power our client application like web running inside of a web browser or mobile app running on a mobile device. Node is ideal for building highly scalable, data-intensive, and real-time backend services that power our client applications. Till now, we have worked in browser. That means we get some object data and display in browser runtime environment. Now with using that Node.js, we will execute JavaScript code outside of a browser. You will learn Node.js by doing multiple projects. So if you're ready, then let's get started. Right? Now we will work with this Node.js. So for working with the Node.js, first of all, we have to download this software. So that is totally free, one of the software. If you go to that Node.js official website as a node.js.org, then they have the two download option as a current version. Another is the recommended for most users. So I will always recommend it to download this part. Okay, that means the recommended for most user part. So if you click it in here, then automatically that will be downloaded in your system. So that is simple, one of the exe file. Here you have to simply click it and the next by next process, and that will be installed successfully. So make that sure you download this Node.js, and if you want to check it, you can also check it. Like here I have already created one of the folder in my desktop as a Node.js, right? So now I want to take this part. That means here I want to add this folder in our Visual Studio Code. Now here if you go to that file, I want to open this folder. I simply open this folder that is in our desktop. I have created one of the folder as a Node.js. Okay, so here you can see there is a Node.js folder. So I simply select this folder. Now select it and I make it as a trusted, okay, which is totally fine. And that is our Node.js folder. So into this Node.js folder, first of all, I want to create one of the file as an index, okay, index.js. So this type of one of the file I simply created. So friend, as I told you, make that sure you download Node.js and also make that sure you install this Node.js in your system. So if you want to check it's perfectly installed or not, you can also check it. Like that is our project folder here. If you open the terminal as a CMD, okay, into the CMD, I want to check with our Node.js is successfully installed or not. If you want to check it, that will be as a node and then hyphen as a v. Okay, so here if you that is actually our code. If you now click as a enter, now you can see right now currently I am using Node.js version as a 16.13.0. that means that is actually our current version. Okay, that is the most user recommended version. I have already downloaded and installed it in my system. For the reasons it's not display our current version as a 16.13.0. so if you also want to run your terminal from your Visual Studio Code, you can also do it. So for doing this, you have to go to your Visual Studio Code, and if you go to that view, and then that is one of the terminal, just simply open this terminal. And now into this terminal here, you can see that is actually the same things. Okay, now I want to run again as a node and then v. That means the node version. I want to check it. You can see our result is just like that same result. Okay, that is our version right now. I'm using as a v16.13.0. that is our current version. Great. And I have already created one of the file as index.js. So here we'll work multiple project. I will step by step, everything will be more clear to you. So from our next video, we'll code for our Node.js. So working with this Node.js, then Node.js actually provided one of the package JSON file where all that your packages will be saved in here. Okay, so all that your packages, that means all that your application, everything will be saved in your package.json. So step by step that will be more clear. And as I told you, you can now will need that our terminal. As I told you here, that is our terminal. So from to this position you can open this terminal, rather than there is also new terminal. From to this area you can also create one of the new terminal. And as I told you, you can also create the terminal with simply, that is our exact perfect path, right? That is our folder I have created into the desktop. You can also create this terminal with the cmd. Okay, you can see that is the same things. So you can run that code in here. You can also run this code in your Visual Studio Code editor. Right now I will use that Visual Code terminal. Okay, so right now you can see that is actually our result is the same result. So now I want to use it. So better I want to make it a little bit big here. Okay, great. So if you want to create that package.json, first of all you have to run with the npm init. Okay, I simply initialize that npm, and then if you click as a enter, it will be ask you some of the questions. You can see there have some of the questions as a first of all your package name. Right now that is our display as a Node.js. So that is actually is get that data from our folder name. So that is our folder name is visible. So if you want to add one of any kinds of new package name, you can actually add this. Right now for education purpose I make it as a Node.js. Okay, Node.js basic. I make it as a basic. So that is a Node.js basic. So that will be our project name. Now click as a enter. Now you can see it's now show as a sorry, the name cannot contain URL friendly characters. So here I have actually added some of these space, right? I want to make it as a Node.js and then hyphen basic. Okay, now click as a enter. Now you can see it's not perfect. And also after that it's display the version. So where what type of version you want to use. So by default that is 1.0.0, which is totally fine. I make it as a enter. And the description, if you want to add some of the description, you can add it. Like I make it as a learning. Okay, learning node. So I name that our description that for this project as a learning node. Now click as a enter. Now there is an entry point index.js. So here that will be our project will be started from here, right? That is our index.js. So some of the time some of the people are using that app.js as well. So right now, which is totally fine, I make it as a index.js. So now click as enter. Test command, I don't need this. Test git repository, I don't need this. And then keyword I make it as a Node.js. Okay, Node.js. So that will be our keyword. And then author name I make it as a Kazi Aryan. Okay, Kazi and then Aryan. You can actually use your name. Okay, right now I'm using that Kazi Aryan, which is totally fine. Now if you click as enter, now there is a license. Right now I don't need any license. Now click as enter. You can see every data is now successfully done. And here you can see they have one of the JSON data as a name, as a Node.js basic, version, description, main as an index, script. I use some of the script, and then keyword also visible. You can see everything that is one of the JSON format data. If everything okay, I make it as enter. You can see it's now totally done, and now it's successfully generated one of the package JSON in here. You can see it's now successfully generated our package JSON. So now if you install any other application packages, all the packages you will get it in package JSON. Okay, here you will automatically that will be added, which is totally fine. Right now here I simply close it. Now I want to create add some of the code in our index.js, and then I want to visible it in here. Okay, that means in our Node.js environment into the terminal area I want to display it. So if you want to do that work, right now I close it and I want to open new terminal again, then that will be as a clean. Okay, and now I want to do here, I want to simple with the console log, I want to display some of the message. Okay, so with the console, that is a console, and with the console log I want to display some of the message. Okay, some of the string value I want to pass as a hello easy learning. Okay, I name it as a hello easy learning. So now if you want to display it, now I just click as a save all, and here I want to run with our index file, right? So that will be as a node and then index. So I make it as a node index. Now click as a enter. Now you can see it's now display our name as a hello easy learning. So before friend we display all that our string value into the browser, right? So right now that is our local machine. See, now it's actually display from our local machine. For the reason some of the object may not work, like I show you here. If you before into the browser, we have displayed the window object, right? Window object, documents object, but that will be not work in here because that is our local machine. Like here, if you check it with the console log, and with this console log, if you run with the Windows object, okay, if you run that Windows object, if you run that another one, I have discussed about that things with you, there is a document. Remember, there is a document object also that will be not work, okay, like as a document. So if you run that both of these, then it will be show some of the error. If you click as a save all, because this data now actually comes from our local machine, okay. And now if you want to run our again our Node.js index, you can also get it by pressing that up button, then automatically that will be get our previous data, okay. That means previous command line. So now there is a node index. Now click as enter. Now you can see it's not display some of the error as Windows is not defined. Okay, so before actually that is display in our web browser, but right now that is in our local machine, right? So now this data will be comes from our local machine, and which is, I hope everything is very much clear to you. So friend, don't worry, that is from very basic. I just take you don't have any idea about that Node.js. Step by step we'll go more deep, and Node.js also I hope it will be very much clear to you. So friend, right now when any updated I have happened in here, that means in our index.js, then we have to run our this node index, right? So that is not appropriate. Here I want to install another package, okay. That is a package JSON I have already created. Now I want to install one of the package with the npm. That means the node package manager. So how can you install some of the new packages? You better have to continue this process. In our next video, I will show you that things with the live example. And I want to add some of the package, okay. Like our first package I want to do here, every time whatever the things I have done in our index.js, after that we have to run this node index, right? So I don't want to display that things like that way. For prevent this, I want to install one of the default package as a node.mon. Okay, I want to install it. So you can install it with the npm. As I told you, npm is the node package manager. With this we can actually install it. So if you want to install it, then first of all you have to write down as a npm, okay, that is a npm, and then install. You can use that install, or rather than you can only use that as a I. So right now I'm using that I, and then our package name as a node.mon, okay. So that is our package name, and this package I only want to use for the development environment. Development environment means here we don't use this package in our code, only that will be work in our development area, okay. For the reasons here I want to do, I make it as a hyphen and then I make it as a D. So that will be as a development environment, okay. So now if you click as a enter, now that will be install this package, okay. You can see it's now installing this package, and it may take little time, okay. It may take little time. Better when it will be done, then I will come back again. Now you can see friend, our package is now successfully installed. So when you install it, and after that if you go to that our package JSON, into this package JSON right now, if you go, you can see that is one of the development dependency. And into this development dependency, we use one of the package. Here we already installed one of the package as a node.mon. Okay, as I told you, so that is the development dependency, means here we will not use this package in our code, only that will be for prevent our runtime. That means here whatever the things we will do in particular index, then here automatically that will be as a executed, okay. Here we don't need to run again as a node index, automatically that will be executed. So for prevent this, we install one of the package as a node.mon package, okay. And when you install it, then also it will be created one of the folder as a node module folder, and you can see they have the so many folder. So here I have already installed one of the package, our package name as a node.mon. You can see that is our node.mon, and they have also another all that folder. So this all that for dependency for our this package, okay. So that is automatically generated all the dependency for this node package. So now it's successfully installed, okay. which is totally fine. So whatever the packages you will be installed, you will get everything in particular this folder as a node module. And also there is another file is created as a package log.json. So what exactly that file? So that is nothing, only that will be saved all that your package version. So friend, we don't need to work anything in our package JSON, and also we don't need to work anything in our node module. So that will be just like that same. Here I simply close it. So now I want to test our package. So right now here we don't need this. I simply remove it. Okay, I simply remove it from to this position. Now click as a save all. And now if you go to our package JSON, here we have to do, that is one of the script you can see, and into this script area now we have to allocate our this index.js. Okay, that means this file we have to allocate. So now I want to add one of the script. Right now I want to make that name as a server. Okay, server. So that will be as a server, and into this server area I want to pass that our name that will be as a node.mon, right? That is a node.mon, and then I want to execute our which file that will be executed as a index.js. So this file will be executed, right? Now I will simply add the things in here. Now if you click as a save all, and now if you want to access it, first of all we have to run our npm. So I want to run it right now as a npm, and then run, and then here into the script I name it as a server, right? So that will be as a server, as a npm and run and server. Now if you click as a enter, now that will be executed. You can see our file is now successfully executed. You can see there is a waiting for the changes before restart. So now if you change anything, like I want to add another one with the console log. Into the console log I make it as a Kazi Aryan. Okay, I make it as a Kazi Aryan. And after that, if you now click as a save all, you can see automatically now that is restarted. There is a restarted due to change and starting Node.js, and then you can see it's also run again as another one as a Kazi Aryan. So that is our hello easy learning, and then the Kazi Aryan. I hope friend you understand that part, what exactly that package doing in here. Right now we don't need to run any command, automatically that will be re-executed. Okay, I hope it's very much clear to you. Hello friend, welcome back. In this video, I want to discuss about understanding modules. So in Node.js, every file works as a modules. As you already know that behavior of module, you can reuse this. That means if you want to export it, you can export it, and also into the different pages, you can import it. Right? I have already discussed about that things with you. Better I want to show you with the live example. Okay, for doing this, I want to do in our node, there is our node folder. Here I want to create one of the new file, and I just name it as a add.js. Okay, I name it as a add.js, and here I want to create one of the function, that is our function keyword. I want to create on the function name as a add, and here I want to add two of this number. So first of all I want to pass two of this parameter. One is the a, another is the b. Okay, for simple example, and then I want to return it. That means the return or this function as a from here I want to pass that a and then plus b. Okay, I simply return that things from here. In JavaScript, we before export it directly, right? We export it directly, we import this file directly, but in Node.js, here if you want to export it, then here we have to write down as a modules. Okay, there is a module, and then the export. Okay, there is a module exports. In front of the export, I want to pass which thing? I want to pass our method, that means our function name as a add. Okay, simply I export our add function. And now we have to import it, right? I want to display this function value in our index, that means here. So now that will be our module part, and now I want to visible it in here. Okay, so if you now want to access our this method from this position, I export our method name as a add, right? Now I want to do, first of all, I want to get out this file as a add.js. So if you want to get it, then here we have to add that as a constant. Okay, I take one of the constant variable as a add. Whatever the name actually you choose, right now I name it as a add. And then with the required method, okay, that will be as a required. Okay, require, and with this require, I want to take it. Here we have to pass our file name. Our file name appropriate the same place as a add, right? So there is add.js. So that is one of the same module files. So for the reasons here, we don't need to use that as a JS. Only our file name will be enough. So right now our file name as add. So now you can see that is our add. Great. And here now I want to do, I want to check it here with this console log. Okay, console, and into this console log area, and then I want to do and to add that our I have already required get our file, and into this file area, that is all that our module function, and here I pass two of this parameter as a and then b. Right now I want to do and to pass that some of the value. I want to pass on the value for the a, and also I want to pass on the value for the b. Then that will be this add two of this number. Now let's check this out. Here now there is our add. Okay, so I want to do and to add that add, and add. After that, I want to do and to pass two of this value as a 3, and I want to pass another value as a 4. Okay, now that should be a display what? Now that should be this add two of this number. That means it should be as a 7. Right now let's check this out into the terminal, what exactly the data is display. Now click as a save all. Now you can see it's now successfully display as a 7, which is totally fine. I hope you understand how to create some of the module, how can export this module, how can import this module, and also how can execute it. Okay friend, I hope every part is very much clear to you. Now there is the another issue. Like from here I simply pass one of the method, right? So from here I pass only one method or one variable. But if you want to pass multiple variable, if you want to pass that multiple function, then how can execute it? Okay, so right now I want to solve this issue. Then you have to do like better I add another function. Okay, I want to add another function. I make it as a sub. Okay, that will be as a sub, or two of these as a and then b. Okay, same value. Now that will be as a minus. I want to do that will be return, and return will be a minus b. Okay, then that will be as a return a minus b. So if you want to pass that multiple method, then you have to do after that export, you have to add that as add. Okay, that means that is our name and is equal to add. And also the same, I copy it, and then that is module export, then that will be as a sub equal sub. So that is the way you can actually export multiple method or the variable. Okay, so right now I simply export both of these. Now I want to import it in our index. Now if you want to get both of this method, then we have to do in particular after the constant variable into this area. Here we have to use that as a curly bracket. Okay, and into this curly bracket I want to pass that as a add, and also I pass another one as a sub. Right, I want to add that sub. Simple work, and our file name will be the just like that same. Now I want to pass on the value, so that will be as a for the sub. For the sub I make it as a as a 4, and I make it as a 2. Then that will be display as a 2. Right, now click as a save all. Now you can see it's now display as a 7, and then that is our 2. Great. So that is one of the way. Okay, you can actually pass multiple method or variable like that way. And also there is another easy way. If you want to pass it that things by the object, then that will be very easy. Better I show you. Like there is another format you can actually export. So everything will be needed. So make that sure you understand it. So like that will be the same module and module exports. Okay, module exports, and then I want to declare one of the object. Okay friend, and into this object area I take one of the property as a add, and this add our property value that will be our this method name as a add. Okay, I simply add it. Great. And also I take another property as a sub, and this sub will be our method name. Our method name will be as a sub, so I simply add it. Great. Now from to this position we pass both of this data. That means from here we export both of this data by this object. And also as I told you before, when our property name and then our value, when that will be as the same name, you can actually use that only one. Right, remember I have already discussed about that things with you. Right now our property and the name is the same name. For the reasons I want to do, and to use only one. Okay, I simply use that only one. So our result will be just like that same. If you now click as a save all, now you can see it's now returned the same as a plus, for the plus as a 7 and minus as a 2. Right, that is actually our value. Great. And also every module they have some of the global variable. Like if you want to get some of the specific index file directory name, if you want to get that file name, they have some of the global variable. But I show you, like I want to show with the console log. There is a console log, and there is one of the global variable as a double underline as a, you can see there is a directory name. Okay, that is one of the global variable. And also there is another one as a file name, as a console log. I want to add another one that will be double underline as a file name. Okay, so now if you print both of these, now that will be display our directory name and then file name. You can see that is display our directory name and also it's display the file name. I hope friend it's very much clear to you. So with this directory name, if some of the time it's may needed to access your file location, then that will be needed. So laterally we'll use it. I hope you get some of the idea. That is one of the global variable as a directory name, global variable as a file name. Simply remember that part. So that is our module, how to export some of the module in different way, and that is our object way, and that is our everything is result is perfectly visible. Okay friend, I hope every part, every concept is very much clear to you. This experience, I want to create one of the mini project as a calculator project. Like from here, if you want to add two of this number value, if you want to subtract multiple division, okay, how can actually working with this? In this video we'll create it. And also I want to add that input field from to the command line. Like that is our total command line when you run it as in node and then the index.js, right? And from to this position, if you pass on the value like as a 10 and then add and then 20. Okay, after that automatically from to the command line it will be get that value. Okay, how can do that work? I show you. For doing this right now, I clean that our index and better in our Node.js folder. Here I want to create one of the new folder and I just name this folder as a calculator. Okay, so that is a calculator. So I create one of the folder as a calculator, and into this folder area now I want to create 4 of this file, that is 4 of this module file. I want to create one of the new file. I want to create it and I just name it as a add.js, and also I want to create another one as a new file and I just name it as a division, okay, or division.js. I want to create another one for the substring, that is a substring as a sub.js. And then for the multiple, I want to create another file and I just name it as a multiple. Okay, that is a multiple.js. Great. So here I created 4 of this file as a add, division, multiple, and then subtract. Great. And now into this add area, before I have already created one of the functions. So you can see there is a functions. Right now we don't need this file. I close it and now I paste it. So that is our function, right? If you want to use that as a function array, then what exactly you have to do? The same things you can do very easy way. That is a constant, and then that will be add, and then that is our 2 of this value as a and then b. I hope you already remembered that part is very easy. Now that is our same condition, right? That is a plus b. Okay, a plus b. So that is the same things. Right now you can actually write down like that way, rather than you can also call that as a function. Okay, whatever the things you choose, you can actually choose is better. I want to do right now and to use it. Okay, I want to use it, but I copy or cut it and I paste it. So that will be for the add, and then for the division, I want to add the division. Our value will be as a divided, so that will be as a divided by b. And then I want to paste it for the substring, that will be as a minus, and then for the multiple that will be as a into, right? That is a multiple. Great. Now I want to do one by one to update. So that is for our add, and from to the add I want to export it, right? If you want to export, what exactly you have to do? That will be the modules and then the exports, and then that will be our add, right? I simply from here I export it. And for the division, I name that as a div. Okay, I name it as a div, and also from here we have to export it. So if you want to export, that will be the modules and then the exports, and then I want to name it as a div. Okay, so from here I simply pass it. And then the subtract, for the subtract I name it as a sub. Okay, I name it as a sub, and also here we have to export it. That will be as a module. Okay, module exports, and then I name it as a sub will be export. Great. And then another one is a multiple. I want to make it as a multiple. Okay, mul, whatever the name actually choose, and now I want to export it. So that will be as a module and export, and then I name it as a multiple. Okay, I simply added that multiple. Great. Okay, I hope friend you already know about it. Now click as a save all, which is totally fine. Okay, so that is all that our function. Now we have to input it, right? We have to input in our index. So here if you want to import it, what exactly you have to do, I take one of the constant variable, I'll just name it as a add. Okay, for the add, then that will be our required keyword, right? So that will be a required, so that is a required keyword, and here we have to get that our specific file location. So right now our file is in a calculator folder, right? And into this calculator folder, our file name as a add. You can see it's also suggested as a add. Great. And also I want to do the same things, better I copy it and then I paste it, because there are the 4 files. One is the sub. Okay, I want to get that sub, and in our calculator that will be another one as a sub, right? So I make it as a sub. Great. And also there is another one as a multiple. Okay, multiple, I take it and required calculator as a multiple. Okay, I name that as a, that is a multiple, and then the division, so that will be as a division, and also I name it as a division. Great. So from here I export all that file, and now I import it. So now if you want to display into the console, what exactly you have to do, then that will be into the console, and in the console log area here, if you pass any add value like as a add, okay, into this add area I'm going to pass 2 of this value, like I just make it as a 3, and then I want to make it as a 6. Okay, now that should be print what? That should be print as a 9 for the add, because if you go to our add, here I have already added that A will be plus B, right? Now that should be displayed as a 9. Click as a save all, and now if you run it in our terminal, like I just simply run as a node index.js, now click as a enter. Now you can see it's now successfully display our result as a 9. So here, as I told you, I want to get this value from our this terminal. Like I want to do that will be as a node and index. Okay, index.js, and then if you make it as a 10 add, okay, 10 add, and then 20. So I want to get this data from to this terminal. That is value I want to get, and there is a add also. I want to that is will be our add, and then that will be our another value. Okay, so if you want to get this data from to the terminal, then first of all we have to get our first data, that means this data. Okay, so that is one of the array, it's returning one of the array, and array is started by the 0. Just simply understand, friend, it's very easy. Just simply understand that is one of the array data, and into this array data or first array data as a 0, right? So that is our 0 index, and that is our 1 index, and that is our 2 index, right? So now first of all I want to get it. So if you want to get it right now, we don't need this. I simply put some of the note for you. Okay, I put some of the note for you, and now I want to add take on the constant variable. Okay, that is one of the constant variable, and for the name, first name, I name it as A. Okay, there is a variable, and now into this area here, first of all, that will be if you want to get that terminal data, then you have to run as a process, and then the argv. Okay, so now with this argv, you will able to get our this terminal data. So now there is a process data, and here I want to get our which one? I want to get that our second, that means that will be our 0 index, the first index, and that will be the second index, right? So now what to do, I want to get that our second index data. Okay, and now it's actually returning one of the string value. So now we have to convert it to the integer. Okay, right now that is one of the string value. I want to convert it to the integers. If you want to convert it, then we have to make it as a parse, right? Parse, and that is parse init. So now that will be converted our this string value to the integer. Okay, so now that will be integer. Great. So here I simply get it our first, that is our first index, and then I want to get our this changes, right? What are the change that might be add, that might be division, that might be multiple. So that will be our change. So now I want to take this part, click as a, better I copy it, and then I paste it. Okay, right now I want to do like I name it another one. I name it as another variable as a choice. Okay, choice, and for the choice I want to do and only want to get our this index. So that is will be what? 0 index, that is 1 index, the 2 index, and then that will be as a 3 index, right? I want to get the 3 index here. Right now we don't need to convert it to the integer, so I make it as a 3 index. Okay, so now with this progressive there is a progress argv. With this we'll get our specific terminal data. I get the 3 index. Okay, great. And also I want to take another one, that is our last one, right? So there is also another value here. It will be returned one of the string. So for the reasons here we have to convert it to the integer with the parts in it, and I make it as a name as a b. Okay, I name it as a b, and now that will be which index? That will be the 0, 1, 2, 3, and then the 4, right? That will be the 4 index. Great. I simply get all the data in here. Okay friend, I hope every part is very much clear to you. Now I want to print it. Okay, if you want to print with the console, okay, the console log, and into this console log area I want to print that a, and then that will be our another variable I created as a choice. Okay, this choice, so that is our choice variable, and then that will be as a b. Okay, I simply loaded everything. Now let's check this out. Okay, now everything will be more clear. Now you just click as a save all, and now right now I want to do that is our index, that is a node index.js. I want to add this, that is our 10 add 20. That means it should be written what? It should be written our value I make it as a 10, and then 20, that means that will be written as a 30. Now click as a enter. Now you can see it's now display as a 10 add 20. Okay, so now that is our add. So what exactly that add? So here also we have to add another condition for make these things done. Like I want to add another if condition. Okay, and into this if condition area here I want to do that is when our choice, okay, when our choice will be equal add. Okay, then because here I'm actually using as a add. So right now you can see it's not getting any add. So into this area we have to now add all that our condition. That means that is the condition now we have to apply. Okay, when that will be as a add, then our this condition will be applied. When that will be as a sub, then I want to add that another condition. Everything will be very clear. Like that is our choice. That means when our choice means what? Choice means our this part, right? When our choice will be as a add, then I want to do here, I want to with this console log. Okay, that means the same things here, that will be the same. Better I copy it and then I paste it. Okay, that will be the console log area, our add method, and into this add method area here I want to pass our both of these value. Like that is our value, right? I want to add that as a because this data will be counts, that is this value will be counts from our terminal, right? So I take it as a and I take this another one as a b. Okay, so now I simply add it. Our friend, it's very much clear. And also I want to use the same things for our rest of this, as I make it as a else. Okay, else I make it as else if. Okay, so I just simply added that else if, that will be the same. Here I want to do the same condition. That means when our choice, okay, when our choice will be equal sub, so that when that will be the sub, then our console log will be print another one. I paste it, so then that will be print as a sub, right? So I want to do and to use it as a sub, and our value will be same. Whatever the value will be passed from here, then that will be calculated. And also I want to copy it and paste it, and then paste it, and then paste it. So now there is our another one as a sub, and then the multiple. Okay, that will be as a multiple, and here that will be as a division. And for the multiple, I want to do and to multiple it with the multiple. I copy it, so that will be as a multiple both of this number. And then also there is another one as a division. I want to do and to make it as a division. Okay, that will be division number. And else if another one, okay, else then that will be and display some of the into the console log, into the console log area, that will be display as invalid. Okay, invalid choice. And then that will be display as an invalid choice. Okay friend, I hope every part is very clear right now. Now if you click as a save all, now I want to do and to run this part. Okay, that means I want to run that as a here I want to run that in our terminal. Into the terminal I run as a node index.js, and I want to pass that value. I pass that value as a 30. Okay, 30 add. Okay, 30 add, and then I want to pass that as a 20. Okay, I pass that as a 20. So now that should be executed because that is our add. So now I just simply put that condition when our choice will be equal add, then that will be run our console log area, our method name as a add. Okay, and that is our two of this value, and that means that is a 30 value, and then there's a 20 value. I have already get both of these value with here, right, with the progress and then arvz. Here we get that our second index and then fourth index data. So now that should be executed. That means there's a 3, 30, and then 20 is a 15. Now click as a enter. Oh, sorry, why this is happening. Click as a save all, and now here I click as a enter. Now you can see it's now successfully calculated both of these data, and now it's display as a 50. Okay, if you want to minus it, that means I click as the up button. I want to change it right now as a sub. Okay, I make it as a sub. I want to sub it 30 to 10. Okay, now click as a enter. Now you can see it's now successfully remove, that means minus out both of these data, and now that is display as a 20. Great. And if you want to make it as a multiple, okay, multiple, I want to make it as a multiple with the 2. Now click as a enter. Now it's successfully display as a 60. Okay, I hope every part is very much clear to you. And also there is another one as a division. Okay, I want to do, there is a same node, I want to multiple, and that will be division, right? I make it as a division, and a division with the 2. Now click as a enter as a 15. And if they have any invalid, that means another choice, then that will be displayed as a invalid choice, right? I want to display it, like I just make it as a, some of the things as a 20, 23, and then another text, and then I want to pass another value. Now click as a enter. Now you can see it's now display as a invalid choice. Great. How much easily we complete this part. I hope every part is very much clear to you. Okay, so here we successfully complete one of the exercise with using that module, how to deal with the module. I hope now that should be very clear to you. Hello friend, welcome back. In this video I want to discuss about that file system module. Okay, like here right now I remove everything from our index, and also I don't need this file. I want to just simply remove everything. That is our calculator. I want to remove this. Okay, I delete it. I simply delete this folder. And that is add.js. I also delete it. Right now we don't need this. I have already discussed about that things with you. Okay, now in this video I want to discuss about that fs module. Okay, that means the file system module. That will be the file system, okay, system module. So with this fs module, we can actually create some of the file, we can access this file, we can delete this file, we can do a lot of work. So step by step in this video I will show you that things with the live example. Like first of all I want to create some of the files. So here if you want to do that work, first of all we have to input it. That means we have to input that fs. So if you want to input it, like I just take one of the variable as a constant variable and just name it as a fs. Okay, and now into the Node.js, if you want to import some of the file, then we have to get this with the required. Remember? So now with this required, I want to get that our fs module, that will be as a fs module. Okay, I simply get it. Great. And now first of all I want to create it. That means that will be as a create. Okay, create a file. I name that as a created file. So if you want to create this file, if you write down as a fs, and you can see they have so many method. Okay, they have so many method, and all that functions, they have the two functions as a asynchronous function, and that is our synchronous function. Okay, so I will always use that asynchronous function, because into synchronous function actually block this code. That means when you run this project into the web server, that will be block this function. After this complete this function, then that will be executed. So I will not recommend it to use that as a synchronous function. Always I want to try to use that asynchronous function. Okay, and if you want to create some of the file, they have also another function. I want to use this function, that is a write, and you can say there is a write file. Okay, so now with this write file function, here we can actually create some of the file. Like I want to create one of the file as a app, okay, app.js or text. I want to create one of the text file, that is a txt file. Okay, and right now I want to create this file in our this same directory. Okay, that means here there is a Node.js folder, hit into the same directory I want to create it. So if you want to create that into the same directory, then that will be as a dot and then hyphen. Okay, and then that will be our file name. So now it will be generated one of the file name as a app.txt in our appropriate this same folder. And also here, if you want to pass some of the value into our text area, you can also pass some of the string value. Like I just make it as a, okay, this is our high easy learning. Okay, I name it as a high easy learning. And after that, if you want to add one of the functions, better I want to add one of the array function. Okay, here if there have any error, if you want to display this error, you can also display it, okay, because that is one of the asynchronous function. Here I want to create another function, and into this area I want to do if there have any error, okay, if there have any error, then I want to display this error. That means with the console log, with this console log, I want to display this error. I hope friend you already remember that part. We have done this work a lot of the time. It's now very easy. And else it should be display another message into the console log area. I want to display another message, okay, as a file, okay, file just created, okay, this type of one of the message, then that will be display. If there have any error, then that will be display the error, and else it will be display our file has just created, okay. I hope every part is very much clear to you. So now if you click as a save all, and now our terminal is already open, rather than you can open your terminal in here. So now I want to run as a node, sorry, I make it as a clear, and now I want to run as a node and then index.js. Now click as a enter. Now you can see it's now display as a file just created, okay. And also in our node module, now you can see new file is created as a app text, and here I have passed one of the string value as a high easy learning. If you open it, you can see it's now successfully display our this message. I hope friend is very much clear to you how can create some of the file with the fs module, okay. So now if you want to read this data, okay, like here right now I make it as a comment out, and after that I want to read this file, okay. If you want to read this file, but I put that note as a file read, okay, read file, whatever you choose, I make it as a read file. So for read this file, here we have to do, there is another function we have to call, that is a fs function, and after that is another function as a read file, okay. You can see there is a read file, and with this read file I want to access it. That means that is in our which place, that is into the same place right now, that is our file name as a app, right, that is a app.txt. So this file I want to access, and after that here we have to pass one of the encoding text. You can see that is also displayed as the encoding. Now we have to pass it. So I want to pass encoding text as a text ut, okay, utf8, okay. I want to pass that is utf8, and then I want to call one of the callback function here. So if you want to add that callback function, so that is our callback array function. I simply load it, okay, and now that is if there have any error, I want to pass one of the parameter as a error, okay. If there have any error, then that will be display our error, and if you want to access our this file text, then that is all that our data, okay. I want to get everything into this data area, so that is everything in our data area. So right now I want to display it, okay. I want to display like if the same condition, if there have any error, okay, if there have any error, then that will be displayed the error into the console log, into this console log area, it should be display this error, okay. It should be display this error, and else, okay, else it will be display our data. That means into the console log, into this console log area, that our image, that means our file data. So our file data, as I told you, everything in our here, that means data. This data means our in file, there is some of the text, right? So that is all that our data. So now I want to display this data, okay, perfect. I hope everything is very clear to you. So now if you want to check it again, okay, if you want to check it again, I click as a save all, and now to run again that node index.js, click as a enter. Now you can see it's now successfully get as a high easy learning. That means it's now perfectly get our this file data. Okay, so right now they have no error. For the reasons it's not display any error, and else our the console log area it display this data. That means this file read data. Here we successfully read this data, and now it's visible in here. So now if you want to rename this file, like that is one of the file I have already created as a app.txt, right? I want to rename it. So now I want to discuss about that rename, but I put that note, that means a comment out, and now I want to rename, okay, rename file. So how can rename it? So then again the fs, and there is another function as a rename, okay, and then you can see there is a rename function. I want to call this rename function, okay, and that is a rename function. So now with this rename function here, our first file name as a app, right? That is a app.txt. So that is right now our file name. I want to convert it in our which name. Like here you can see there is a rename, actually there is a old path, and also here that will be another callback function, and then that will be our new path. So that is our old path, right? And now we have to pass that our new path. So new path I want to do, that will be the same place here. Now that will be as a helper, okay, helper.txt. that will be rename our this name, okay. And after that I want to call that another callback function. I hope you already know is I pass one of the error. If there have any error, then that will be display this error. That means if there have any error, the same condition, but I copy it, okay, I copy it. If there have any error, then that will be display this error, else it will be display some of the string text, okay. Here I want to display the else it will be display as a file, okay, file successfully, okay, successfully renamed, okay. So then that will be display this part. Great. So friend, that's all you have to do for rename this file. I hope every part is very clear, because it's very easy all that process. Now click as a save all, and now to run our node index again. Now our file name as a app text, okay. Now that should be changed as a helper text. Now let's check this out. Click as a enter. Yes, you can see it's now display as a file successfully renamed, and you can see our file is now become changed, but our value will be same, okay. Our value will be same. Right now it's become helper.text. Great. Now if you want to delete it, there is also another function as a delete, okay. I make it as a delete file. I'll make it as a delete file. For the delete file, that will be again as a fs, and there is another function as a unlink function, okay. So now I simply call that as an unlink function. I want to unlink our our text file. I want to unlink our helper. Right now I have already changed it. Right now our name is as a helper, all right. That is a helper.txt. So this file will be removed. So here again we have to call that another callback function. So I simply loaded this callback function. I pass that error. If there have any error, it will be display this error, right? So that is a callback function. And here I want to put that same as if condition. If there have any error, okay, if there have any error, then that will be into the console log. Into this console log area, it will be display this error, right? Then that will be display error, else it will be display into the console log. It will be display some of the message, okay. I want to display some of the string message here. That will be display as a file deleted, okay, file deleted, this type of the message. Then that will be display. I hope friend every part is very much clear to you. So now let's check this out. Click as a save all. Right now that is our file, and now if you run it, click as a enter. Now that should be gone. You can see our file is successfully removed. You can see file is deleted. Great. I hope friend it is very much clear to you how can delete some of the file, how can rename this file, how can read this file data, and also how can create some of the file, okay, with use. Hello friend, welcome back. In this video we'll solve one of the issue with using that fs module. Like here I have created one of the file as a data.json, and into this data.json area they have some of the data, okay, that is some of the object data. So I simply add that name as a key, and then that is our value, and that is our another key, and that is our another value. So now I want to actually get all the data from our data.json, and then I want to add all that number, okay. That means I want to sum all that number, and then I want to visible in our this terminal. So how can do that work? For doing this, if you go our index, so into this index, before I have already discussed about that things with you, how can create some of the file, how can read some of the file, how can rename it, and also how can delete it. And here we use that synchronize function, right? Here I'm actually using that callback all that function. So you can also do that work with using that asynchronous function. I hope you already remember, I have already discussed about that things with you. So if you use that as a asynchronous function, then here we have to pass that as a promises, right? But I show you, you can actually do that things a multiple way. Right now I want to remove everything, okay. So now in our index is clean. First of all, I want to get this data, okay. I want to get this data. So if you want to get it, then here we have to pass that as a promises, right? So that will be as a promises. Great. And after that I want to create one of the function. So if you want to create one of the asynchronous function, first of all we have to use that as a asynchronize, and then our function keyword, and I name it as a get sum, okay. I name it as a get sum. Great. And then I want to do here, first of all, I want to get that data from our this page as a data JSON, right? So now let's do that work. For doing this, better I take one of the variable as a let, I name it as a data. Okay, and then here if you want to use that asynchronous functions, that will be as a await. Remember, with this await, then our module name as a fs. I want to get this data. For the reasons here, we have to add that function name as a read file. Right now, with this read file, I want to get this data from our which place, so that is into the same page. That means here that will be as a data, okay, data.json. So that is actually our file, right? And here also we have to pass that our encode tag. So I want to pass that encode tag will be UTF, okay, UTF-8. Great. I simply get all the data. So now if you want to visible it, that means if you want to display our this data, so you can display it with the console log. I want to display our this data. Okay, now I want to simply pass this data. Now if you click as a save all, and also here we have to display it. That means we have to run our method name as a get sum. Now that should be display. Now click as a save all, and now to run as a node index.js. Now click as a enter. Now you can see it's now successfully get all that our object data from our which place. It successfully get all that our object data from our data JSON, right? So that is our data JSON, all the data. Now I want to actually add all that number. Okay, that means all that value one by one. I want to add that sum. So if you want to do that work here, we have to add that as a one of the for loop, right? One by one, that will be check all that our value, and then that will be add this number. So let's do that work. For doing this, I want to do here, first of all, we have to convert it. Yeah, also I hope you already remember that is one of the object array, right? So that is one of the object array. Here first of all we have to convert it to the array. With this array, now then we are able to access our this value, right? If you want to convert it, okay, if you want to convert this value, then what exactly you have to do? Better I take one of the variable as a data, and then that will be as a JSON, right? There's a JSON and then first. So with this JSON first, we'll convert our object data to the array. Great. So now here which data? So I have already get all the data. That means that is all that our object data. Take the things with this variable here. I simply pass it. Now JSON parts will be converted to the array, right? And now I want to add this all that array value data. So if you want to get it, that means I take another variable as a let, and I just name it as a sum, and sum I initialize with the 0. Okay, and now here we have to run on the for loop, right? Here we have to run on the for loop. I simply run it on the for loop, and into this for loop area I have already get our JSON data. I make it as a array data, take the things with this variable, right? Here with this I want to run that our for loop. That means I take one of the variable, I just name it as a user. Okay, a user, and then that will be the of our data. Okay, that means that is our array data. I take the things with this variable. Now all the data in our user. So now with this user, we are able to access our this data, all that property, right? I want to access our this property as a salary property. If you want to access it, so into the for loop area, okay, here I want to I simply add that condition that it will be the sum equal our sum, and then plus our which value. I want to get that our salary value. So that will be, first of all, with this user we have to access it. That will be the user. Okay, with this user I want to access our salary. Okay friend, I hope it's very much clear to you. Simple work. Now one by one that will be add all that our salary number. Like if you want to check it here, I want to check it with the console log. So that will be the console, and into the console log area, now I want to print our this sum. Okay, now I simply print this sum. Now let's check this out. If you now click as a save all, and now if you go, okay, here I want to run again as a node index.js. Now click as enter. Yes, you can see it's now successfully display our total value. That means our total salary value. Okay, from here if you remove one, like here I remove one, now click as a save all. Now if you run it again, now click as a enter. Now it's actually get another error, because that should be on the error. You can see that should, for the last one you don't need to use that any comma. I remove it. Now click as a save all, and now I want to run it again. enter. Yeah, you can see now there is our another value. If you remove another one, I simply remove it, click as a save all, now run it again. Now there is our another value. Great. I hope friend it's very much clear to you how can do that work. It is a simple process. I hope every part is very much clear to you. Okay, this I clean it, and also better I remove everything. Okay, from our index.js I remove everything, and now in this video I'm going to discuss about another module. I have already discussed about that fs module. Now there is another module as a http. Okay, http. So by the name you already know what exactly that will be do. It will be actually created one of the server. Okay, I show you like here. For first time we have to take it. Better I take one of the variable or the constant variable. Okay, I take one of the constant variable, I name it as a http. Okay, and then we have to import it. Okay, you have to import that http module. If you want to import, that will be the same with the required, and with this require here we have to take our name. Our name will be as a http. Okay, so that is our one of the module. Now I want to run it. Okay, I want to run it. That means here better I take another constant variable. I just name it as a server. Okay, I want to run on the server. So then you have to do that will be as a http, and with this http then there are another method as a create server. Okay, there is another function as a create server. Okay, and that is one of the function, and into this function area here we have to pass one of the listener. Okay, you can see that is also suggested as a request listener. Here I want to pass one of the listener. Okay, and to pass one of the listener, and this listener there is a request listener that have the two parameter. One is the request parameter, another is the response. So request parameter will be pass all that your incoming messages, and with the response that will be response your server. Okay, so I pass two of this parameter. One is the request. Okay, one is the request, and also want to pass another parameter here as a response. Okay, I simply pass both of these, and then that is our listener function. I simply create it. Okay, so that is our function. Great. So now I want to when this server will be run, I want to display some of the message into the console log. Okay, into the console. Okay, console log. Into this console log I want to run one of the message, then that will be display as a server is running. Okay, server is now running. Okay, so then that will be display this type of the message. It will be displayed in our console log area. So now I want to do here, now if you want to run this server, we have to allocate our server port. So our server port will be, I want to do that will be as a server, and this server there is another method as a listen method. Okay, there is a listen method. So now with this method area, what type of port you want to access? Like for education purpose I want to access as a 3000 port. Okay, so then that will be our 3000 port. And now if you want to check it here, I want to better click as a save all, and here I want to run our npm. Okay, that means npm run server. Okay, so I make it as a npm run server. So then our server will be executed. I click as enter. Okay, now our server should be running, and here you can see spelling mistake, npm run server. npm run server, because enter. Now our server is now running. You can see our server is now running. So now I want to run our this port as a 3000 port. Okay, now if you go to your browser, and here I want to write down as a localhost, and localhost as a 3000. Now click as a enter. Now that it's not getting any request. Okay, here I didn't pass any request, but if you now go to our console log, that means in our terminal, into the terminal here you can see it's now display as a server is now running. Okay, so now our server is now running, because here I'm actually pass some of the message. When this request will be executed, then this message should be displayed as a server is now running, and you can see it's now display as a server is now running. So now that is loading. You can see it's now loading. Because of all here it's not get any response. So now I want to pass some of the response. If you want to pass some of the response, you can also pass it from here, like after this. Okay, after this, because here I have already passed two of this parameter. There is another parameter as a response. Now with this response we can actually pass some of the HTML tag, the file, everything you can actually pass it. Like I show you with this response, I want to do there is another method as an AND method. Okay, now with this AND method, here if you pass some of the message as a hi Aryan, okay, then that will be displayed. Now if you click as a save all, and now if our server is now running, you can see it's now display as a server is now running, and if you go there, you can see it's now display as a hi Aryan. Okay, so that is our port. And also if you want to add some of the HTML tag, you can also add some of the HTML tag. Like here I want to add one of the h1 tag. Okay, h1 tag, and then I want to close this h1 tag. Okay, that will be as the h1 tag is closed. Now if you click as a save all, our server is now again running, and if you now go, now refresh it, now you can see that is the h1 tag is visible. If you also want to check it with the inspect, into this inspect, you can see there is one of the h1 tag. Okay friend, I hope everything is very much clear to you. And also if you want to pass some of the type, that means which type of data is that, you can also pass it from here. Like I show you, then there is another method. Okay, with this response there is another method as a write head. Okay, write, that is a write head. You can see that is actually one of the method as a write head method. So into this write head method, like here we have to pass that is our status code. That means which type of status code is that. There is a 200, that means that is a perfect. They have the 401 or 4. There are a lot of the status code. If you search into the Google, you will get a lot of the status code. Okay, like right now I make it as a 200. 200 status code means that is actually perfect. Okay, it's perfectly working. And also after that, here I want to pass the type. Okay, which type of content is that? If you want to pass it, then here we have to pass on the object data, and this object I name it as a content. Okay, content, and there is a content, and content I make it as a content type. Okay, type, so content type, and content type I want to make it as a text. Okay, so text, and that is one of the HTML content, so I make it as a HTML. Okay, so now if you click as a if you want to check it, now that should be the same, because that is one of the HTML content, right? So now that should be the same. Click as a save all, and now if you go click as a refresh, now you can see it's the same. But here I want to change it. Like I make it as a plain. Okay, that is not that HTML. This text I make it as a plain. Okay, I make it as a plain. So now that is one of the plain text. If you make it as a plain text, now that should be display our total things. Like I show you, if you go click as a refresh, now you can see it's now display like that way, because that is one of the plain text. For the reasons it's not get content type. I hope friend you get some of the idea. That is our, you can pass some of the type, you can pass that status code. So if you make it as again as HTML, okay, HTML, and then if you click as a save all, so that is one of the HTML code. Now that should be run as a HTML code. Great. Okay, I hope everything is very much clear to you. Like first of all, we will create one of the server, which I have already created one of the server, and then I want to read a HTML file. Okay, I want to create another file in here as a one of the HTML file, and from to the HTML file I want to get some of the data. I want to read this data. Then I want to send this data as a response from to the server. Okay, so how can do that work? But I show you, like here first of all I want to create the server. So I have already created one of the server as a HTTP request. That is our HTTP module. I take it, that is our server. When server will be running, then that will be displayed as a server is now running. Okay, right now I don't need this, I simply remove it. Okay, so I remove it, and then our server port will be as a 3000. So with this we'll solve our first problem as a create a server. Okay, so that is our create a server code. And I want to create another file. Okay, into this area I want to create another new file, and I just name it as a new.html. So that will be on the HTML file, and here I want to get some of the code, that is HTML document code, and I make it as a server. Okay, server, and then I put some of the inner body area and to add on of the h1 tag. I want add on the h1 tag as a hi, my name is Aryan. Okay, that is one of the HTML code. So now first of all I want to get this data. That means this all that our new HTML data. So if you want to get it, you can get it by two different way. You can get it from to the asynchronous function or the synchronous functions. Okay, so before I have already discussed about that asynchronous functions, better I want to use that as a asynchronous. So if you want to use that asynchronous function, first of all here we have to load that fs, right? Then I want to take another variable as a constant variable, and I just name it as a fs. Okay, so with this fs, then first of all we have to take our fs module. So if you want to load that fs module, that means if you want to input it, then that will be as a required, right? With this required function here I want to load our fs. Great. Here I loaded that fs module, and also I want to use that as asynchronous function. So for the reasons here we have to pass that as a promises. I simply pass this promises. Great. Now I want to get this data from our new HTML, right? So here if you want to get it, what exactly you have to do? I think you already remember that part. That will be, I take one of the variable as a constant variable. Okay, constant variable, I just name it as a data. And then if you want to use that functions, then first of all we have to use that as a await, right? Await, and then fs, and then with this fs I want to get this data. That means that will be as a read file function. So with this read file I want to read this file, so that is into the same location. That means that is our new.html. okay, so that is our file, and also here we have to pass that encode tag. Encode tag will be as a UTF, okay, UTF-8. I simply use that as a UTF-8. Great. Now I want to load our new HTML. So if you want to load it, that means into the response area, in our server response area I want to pass it. So if you want to pass it, first of all that will be the response, okay, response, and then with the and, right, that is the and method, and into this and method area I want to pass our this data. Okay, I simply pass this data, right? And also if you want to show the type, then that will be the response, and then our response, that is another method as a write, okay, write head. So with this write head, as I told you before, here we have to pass that as a, I make it as a 200, okay, 200 our status code, and then our type that will be on the object, that is a contain. Okay, I want to pass it in here, that will be as a contain type. Okay, content type, I simply pass that content type, and our content type will be, that is one of the HTML content. That means that it will be as a text and then HTML, right? So that is one of the HTML file I have created. So I simply loaded this HTML. So now if our server is now running, our server port as a 3000. Okay, that is the same server code. Now I just click as a save all. Now you can see it's now show some of the error. It's showing as a await is only valid for asynchronous function, okay, and the top level bodies and the module. So here I'm actually pass that asynchronous function as await, right? So also here we have to do, that is our function. Into this function area I want to pass that our asynchronous. Okay, here also you have to pass it. Before I have already passed it, so right now that will be as asynchronous. Okay, here you have to pass that as asynchronous. Now that should be okay. Now click as a save all. Now let's check this, our server is now successfully running. And now if you go, now if you refresh it, yes, you can see it's now perfectly get that name as a hi, my name is Aryan. Okay, so now it's successfully get our HTML code, and you can see also get the title. So I have already created on the file as a new, and that is our name as a hi, my name is Aryan, and also that is our title. Into this title I pass that as a server. You can see it's now displayed as a server, and then hi, my name is Aryan. That is very easy on the process, but step by step everything will be needed later. I hope friend you get some of the idea how much easily you can actually run on of the server, and into the server area how you can load some of the file. Okay, so that is our 3 tasks. We successfully complete these 3 tasks, and now we are able to run on of the file. Okay, that is our file is now successfully running in our this port. Great. That URL module, like better I want to clean it. Okay, clean it, right? That promises we don't need this. There is a server, and also we don't need this. I want to do and remove it. Okay, I make it as a clean. So that is our simple server. So that is our server. Great. And into this end method here I want to do and to pass on the index file. So like as a one of the h1 tag. Okay, one of the h1 tag. Close this h1 tag, and then I want to pass one of the name as a hi Aryan. Okay, hi Aryan. This type of the things I want to pass. If you want to pass it, click as a save all. Server is now running. If you go now, click as a refresh. Yeah, you can see it's now displayed as a hi Aryan. So now friend, in this video I want to discuss about our this URL. Okay, so if you want to access this URL, that is one of the request, right? So with this request we can actually check it. Like if you run here, okay, if you run here with this console log, I show you, then there is a console, okay, console, and then the console log. And now with this request, because that is one of the request, right? So with this request I want to access that URL. Okay, URL, one of the property. And now if you want to check it, like right now we don't need this, I simply remove it. Okay, I remove it, and then if you click as a save all, now what exactly that will be do, if you go and if you now click as a hit it again, so now that is our URL is headed. and then now you can see it's now displayed as a slash, and that is a favicon.io. So you don't need to worry about that favicon.io. So it's actually expecting some of the favicon. So that is the message, but that is the slash. Okay, right now our main home URL will be as a slash. Now I want to do better, I copy it, what exactly this URL contain. If you go for education purpose, I want to make it as here, and I put some of the note. Okay, so the note. So into this URL area, first of all, this part is one of the protocol. Okay, there are the two type of protocol. One is the HTTP protocol, another is the HTTPS protocol. And then that will be the local host, or rather than your domain name. And after that, here, that is one of the port. Okay, right now we are using the 3000 port, and this port there have some of the range. So okay, there have some of the range that will be started from the 0 to 6553. Okay, 65535. So that is our this port range. Okay, we can actually add this type of another range into this area. Whatever the port you want to create, you can create it. And after that port, then that is one of the route. You can call it as a route, rather than you can also call it as a path. In website, you already know they have the different type of path, like as a product. Okay, product. So that is one of the path. And after that path, if you want to add some of the query, like when you search anything into the website, that will actually get some of the data with the what the questions mark, and then you will get some of the ID. Okay, here that is one of the query string. So with this, it will be actually search. Okay, it will be search into the server what exactly the data he's actually looking for, like as there is a questions mark ID, and then after that, that will be the ID. That means here with this query string, it will be get that specific one ID data. Okay, if you want to get that multiple one, then that will be one of the and with the and after that, like as another one is a category. Okay, category, and from to the category, if you want to find anything like as a t-shirt, so that is our t-shirt. So that is all that one of the search query. So with this URL, we actually send some of the requests to the server that I needed this type of one of the element. So it will be checking to the server. If you get appropriate some of the information, then that will be get this data and visible it in your page. But in Node.js, we can actually do that work very easily with using our module as a URL module. Okay, like first of all, I want to take this module that is will be on the constant variable. So I simply take that constant variable. I just name of the variable as a URL. Okay, and then we have to input it. So we have to input it with the required. Okay, that will be as a required. Okay, required, that is a required function, and into this required area, I want to take our module name as a URL. So I make it as a URL. So I simply loaded this module and I take the things with this variable as a URL. And now I take that URL into this variable. So now with this, we can actually get this data like I show you here. I want to take better another variable as a constant variable. I just name as a my URL. Okay, my URL. And then we have to create one of the objects. So I simply create that new, and then our URL. Okay, I simply created that new URL, and into this new URL area here we have to pass that our requested URL. So okay, that is our request, and that is a requested, and then our URL. So I have already discussed about that things with you. When you run that requested URL, that will be displayed as a slash. And after that, here I want to path our which path. Our path will be, I want to run our path will be as a this one. Okay, so I simply copy it, and after that here I want to pass that our HTTP localhost 3000. Okay, and after that, that will be one of the slash. Okay, so here I simply pass it. So now if you want to check our my that is a my URL into the console log. Okay, into the console log, now if you check that our my URL, then what data that will be displayed, I show you. Like here, now I want to click as a save all. So right now it's successfully running, and now if you go click as a hit this URL, and now if you go, now you can see into the console, it's actually getting some of the search results, some of the parameters. So here they have nothing in our this URL. Better I want to run this one. Okay, I copy it, and then I want to run this one. Okay, here better I want to run this in here. Now you can see it's now display as a Hungarian, which is totally fine. But right now you can see it's display that protocol as a HTTP protocol that have no username in our URL. There have no password into this URL. There is a host name. It successfully get that host name, or there is a host name as a local host, port as a 3000, and path name as a slash as a favicon. Okay. I hope friend you get some of the idea. It's actually get all the things like as a href. You can see that is total href, that is origin, the protocol, every data from our URL. That is our URL, one of the module. So with this module, we will actually get all the data from to the URL. Okay, so now if you want to get everything, like that is our path name. If you want to now get this path name from to the URL, you can also get it. Then you have to do that is our product, right? I want to get this path name. So if you want to get it, then that will be as a console, into the console log, and into this console log area here, that will be first of all the my URL, right? That is a my URL, and from to this URL I want to access that path name. Okay, that is a path name, one of the property. Now that will be get this path name. If you now click as a save all, now if you go here, if you now hit it again, okay, click as a hit it again, and now if you go, now you can see it's now successfully get that path name as a fav icon. But right now our path name not should be as a fav icon, because here our path name should be as a product, right? So after that there is a path name. So that is actually our default one. As I told you, that is expecting some of the fav icon. So right now I want to actually close it. So if you want to close this path name, better I want to put one of the condition. With this condition we can actually stop it, like I just make it as one of the function. Okay, into this function area, that will be our requested, that is our request, and that is our request URL. Okay, I simply added that request URL. When this URL will be equal, then that will be one of the slash and then fav icon, favicon.ico, right? When that will be as a this one, I want to return it and return as a empty. Okay, then that will be not display. Now let's check this out. Click as a save all. Now if you go, now our path name should be as a product. Now click as a enter, and now if you go, you can see now that is perfectly get that our path name as a product. So I simply with this condition I simply stop it. That means from here I returned it. That is our when that will be our slash icon. That is a default one. Okay, with this we can actually stop it. Right now you can see our path name as a product, and also our search value. Our search value, you can see that is our search value as ID, and here that is our one ID. It will be searched as a category t-shirt, that will be searched into the server. And then there is a search parameter, that is a search URL param is ID1, and category I am looking for the t-shirt. Everything, okay, everything you will get it now from here. Okay, I hope friend you get some of the idea how that URL module work. Okay, HTTP module, URL module. So just remember everything. Laterally everything will be more clear. We'll go more deep. Okay, we'll create multiple projects, then everything will be needed. Okay friends, so right now simply understand how that our URL module works. It's about that npm module. So I have already discussed about that custom module, some of the default modules. So in calculator project, if you already remember, we actually created some of the custom module, right? As a add, sum. So this type of one of the custom module we have created, and then we'll solve one of the simple project as a calculator project. So that was all that custom module. And also after that, I have discussed about some of the default module, like as a HTTP module, AFS module, URL module, right? So that is all the default module. Now I want to discuss about another one as a npm module. So in this project we will actually use some of the npm module. Npm module means that is actually ready-made some of the module that is actually pushed into the npm. That is, if you go to Google and if you search with the npm module, then you can see there is a npm. So here you will get lot of the module. Okay, so you will get a lot of the module. All the developer actually created all that module, ready-made everything. So we will install that module in our system, and then we will simply use it. So we will use a lot of the npm module in our project. So just simply understanding, I want to start with the very basic. I want to install one of the module as a validator module. Okay, that means validator. Okay, if you write down as a validator, you can see there is a validator module. So you will get lot of the multiple validator module. You can see there is one of the module, and there is a var validated, and the required, and then validator. Okay, so with this you can see there is a is email. So you can actually check that is email, and also there have the lot of the things you can actually check it with this module. There is alpha. Okay, a lot of the things you'll do that work. First of all, I want to install it. So if you want to install it, you can install it with through the npm. You can see there is npm install and then validator. So now I simply want to install it in our project. If you go to our project, I have already installed that node module before, and into the package.json. Now I want to add new one. Okay, like automatically that will be added. Like I want to simply paste it as a npm install as a validator. Now if you click as a enter, now this module will be installed. You can see it's now installing. So it may take a little time. Okay, you can see it's now successfully installed. That means this module is now successfully installed. So now we are able to access all that module function, that is all that method, all that functions. So now we are able to use it. And if you now check it, our package.json again, into the package.json, before I have already used another dev dependency as a node moon, right? So now you can see there is another dependency as a validator is now successfully installed. As I told you, whatever the packages you will install, all the things will be saved into the package.json. I can say it's also display the version name. Great. So right now I want to use it. So if you want to use it, here you can see there is also some of the instruction. I simply copy it, and then here first of all I have to declare it. Okay, I hope you already remembered that part. We have to import it. So if you want to import it, we have to import it with this required, right? So with this required, I simply import that validator. Now I want to check it. If you want to check with some of the email, like I check it with the console log. Okay, with the console log, and into this console log area here I want to call that validator. So that is a validator. With this validator, that is one of the method as a is email. Okay, is email method. So this method is actually created by this developer who actually created this module. Okay, so now as I told you, everything is ready made. Now we will use it. So with this is email, it should be checked is that any valid email or not. Like here I want to pass one of the email as a aryan@gmail.com. So that is one of the valid email, right? So that is aryan. I make it as aryan. Okay, aryan@gmail.com. So now that is one of the valid email. Now that should be returned whose data? That should be returned on the true data. If you want to check it, better I want to run our server as a npm and then the run server. Okay, run server. Now click as enter, our server will be running. Okay, our server is now running, and now if you click as a save all, now you can see it's now display as a true. That means that is one of the valid email. So if you want to make it as a .com1, so right now that is not valid email, right? With this validator, automatically that will be checked. If you now click as a save all, now that should be displayed as a false. You can see it's now returned as a false. And also if you want to check like I want to with this console log. Okay, with this console log area I want to pass one of the data, like with this validator. With this validator I pass that is JSON data. Okay, is JSON, that is another method as is JSON. Okay, is JSON method. So with this is JSON method, it should be checked that is data is string or not. Okay, here I want to pass one of the object data. So like as I name it as a name. Okay, I name it as a name, and name I make it as a one of the aryan. Okay, so that is one of the aryan. So that is one of the object data, not that string data, right? For the reasons now that should be display one of the error. Okay, automatically with this validator it should be check it. Now if you click at the save all, now you can see it's now display one of the error. Because of all, it's expected a string but receive a object. Okay, so because that is one of the object data. So if you want to make it as an object to the string, then what exactly you have to do? You have to make it as a JSON string file. Remember? So I cut it from to this position, and then first of all I want to add that as a JSON. Okay, JSON and then string fire method, and into this JSON string fire method here I want to pass it. So right now that will be converted to the JSON, right? That is on the string. Right now that is not that object. Okay, now that should be work perfectly. Better I want to make it as a comment out. Now click as a save all. Now if you check your server, you can see it's now successfully displayed as a true. That means right now that is one of the string value. Okay, so here we convert that object data to the string with the JSON string fire, which I have already discussed about that things with you. So with this validator, as I told you, they have the so many things you can actually check it. Also if you want to check that our port is valid or not, so with this console log, you can also check it. With this console log, then there is a validator. With this validator there is another method as is port. Okay, is port. So with this is port, you can check your port number. Like right now we are using the 3000, right? So if you make it as a 3000, now that should be displayed as a true. Okay, right now I want to display and to make it as a 3000. Now click as a save all, and now you can see it's now display as a true. So if you make it some of the different type of port name, okay, like here I make it as a this type of the port name. Now click the save all, then that will be returned as a false. That means that is not our current appropriate path, right? So that is not the our port. So with this port is port method, you can actually check it. So as I told you, there have the so many method. If you go to particular this module, for a specific this module has supported some of the, you can see there is a is email one of the method. As I told you, here there is a lot of the things. There is a container, you can check it. There is a validator equals, is after, is alpha. Okay, is alpha, you can see there is is base, everything. Actually you can check it. There are so many method. You can, all that ready-made method you have to do, you have to use it. Okay, how can do that work, how can you install some of the module? I hope friend it's very much clear to you.